Hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. We are super excited, you guys. We are going to have none other than Rae Lyse with us to discuss what
At the
this
end of it all.
fabulous book right here, you guys. It is narrated by Jacoby D.M. and Wesley Chavon, and they performed. If you guys do not know Miss Rae Lyse, baby, you are in for a treat. She is fantastic.
Yes. This is my second read by Miss Rae Lyse, and what I need to get my life. Like the emotional roller coaster that she took us on, I cried, but I enjoyed every second of it. That's not true. There was parts when I really wanted to unalive people, well, a person, but other than that aspect, I thoroughly enjoyed the story. Phenomenal read.
I'm trying to get myself together, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Are you doing a little off the shoulder action?
I don't know what is up with this.
Give him a little shoulder action.
This like shirt. I don't know.
I know my shirt's being difficult.
It's a weird shirt, y'all. So just bear with me. Maybe when I bought it, your girl was a little bit thinner.
And it just draped on the shoulder all night.
But now it's like choking me.
That is funny.
So we are waiting for her to join you guys again. She is such a joy.
Yes, she really is a kind soul. Okay. I'm making sure I got my notes. I'm nervous, you guys, because I was really passionate on these videos on Instagram, and I might have come off a little crazy, just a little bit. So I'm trying to pull it together and be my normal, professional, witty, cute self.
So if you guys don't know, on Instagram, we take a book and we break it down. We go chapter by chapter. We come up with a drink. Like we really dive into the story. And usually, hopefully, we're able to get the author to come on with us after and really get into it and explain where they were going, why they went there. And, just get to have that girl time and one-on-one with an author is so amazing. Yes. So we're so excited to get to be able to do that.
Okay, she is here. Let's get started. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Hey. I can't hear y'all. I don't know what happened. Oh,
you don't hear us?
Now I do. Maybe it's me. Let me see.
It could be us doing too much.
Everything y'all said, all I seen was y'all's mouth moving. I heard nothing.
Well, you look gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
So do y'all.
Love the hair.
Thank you. Thank
Gorgeous.
you.
Is it okay that we record? I don't know if we ever asked you that.
Yeah.
Did you ask? Okay, so Nikki did her due diligence. I did not.
As per usual.
I'm cool. Whatever.
Thank you. I'm just going to start off by saying this story ruled my whole heart and my whole life. I'm going back to the ancestors and causing havoc to someone's soul because she will know no peace. Because unaliving her is not enough. The ancestors will also have their way.
I don't know.
I just had to say that.
Before she does any of that, would you please introduce yourself?
Yes. So I'm Rae Lyse. I wrote At the End of It All and the Sun series too.
Y'all, listen. But now that I'm back to being professional, please walk us through your process. Like, how do you set the mood to get into the space to write such a phenomenal, layered story?
Ooh, how do I get in the mood? First of all, I write really long books. So I got to be in the mood for like 6+ months to write about these people. That was like, I started writing that book a whole year ago. I think I looked at the drafts the other day and I was like, damn, I started that book a really long time ago. So that was like a whole year I had to spend with them. And like, whenever you're writing long books, like your mood fluctuates. Like sometimes I'm in the mood to write a certain scene and sometimes I'm not. And with that book, I wrote a lot of it out of order just because it was such a heavy book. Like a lot of the topics in it were really heavy. So
yeah.
Yeah. So it was just playing writing is all mental. So you really have to like play with yourself and like your mind and like figure out different tricks and tools to get you in the mood. It's hard to write a book. I can't say that.
I can
I can only imagine.
especially the way that you do it, because you get so in depth in each character. I feel like I could tell you his favorite color. You
Right.
take it that far, you know, like there's a character card for everyone to know everything.
I definitely could write a whole thesis paper on ACID, like, oh my goodness. So when you're trying to get into a certain mood, like, okay, I have to write this scene to complete the book, do you listen to a certain music? Like, how do you get your mind to write like some of the more triggering, saddening scenes? Because then it's like you'll have lighthearted scenes. How do you get in the mood when you have to write a particular scene that you really weren't in the mood for?
Definitely music for sure. Like I have a playlist for every book. And the songs on the playlist, there aren't just songs like I just picked out and I'd be like, ooh, you know, this would be cute for the book. It's songs that I've like listened to throughout the whole process to get me into certain spaces. For the sad parts, I would say you definitely have to like shut your mind off from like you have to have like nothing on like the TV, nothing, and really have to go into the zone for like the sad scenes. Funny scenes are kind of easy for me, the lighthearted ones, like that's where I get to have fun. Like especially with the side characters, so like his teammate and like her best friend Chelsea. So those are easy for me because I get to like play around with them. Like with Chelsea, you know, my mind would start to wonder, like, oh, what would Chelsea's major be? Or she would probably say this because she's crazy like that, or yeah.
Right. So all of your books are on audio, which I love. Thank you so much. Thank you.
If anyone asks, you do it personally for her and you just choose to share with others.
And I'm fine with that. Okay. I'm fine with
I agree. It's for her. It's for her.
Thank you.
Oh, we ain't never gonna let this one down, y'all.
I know that it's not only expensive, but it's a lot of work to get audiobooks, right? Do you really take time to listen to different narrators, or do you just kind of like, yeah, I think they might fit? Like, how do you choose who's gonna work for it? Because can't nobody else be Ace.
Nobody. Jacoby DM is Ace. That's it. Nobody else.
Yeah. Like nobody be him.
For the narrator, so with the Sun series, Podium has the Sun series. So one thing I can say is it's hard to find Black narrators who are really willing to do romance. So that's why you kind of see like the same narrators kind of narrating the same books because it's not a lot for us to choose from. With they will send you like different people, like samples of different people, and you can listen to like get their vibe and stuff like that. That's what I did for the Sun series. For at the end of it all, I knew I wanted Jacoby for sure as Ace and definitely Wesley. It was between Wesley and Phoenix McKay who did the game. I knew those were gonna be like top two. I was like, either one. I'm happy either way. But Wesley was able to squeeze me in her very, very busy schedule, which I'm thankful for because she did amazing.
She's a doll.
I mean, they together were so perfect for this story.
They were. They brought it to life, and they're so talented. Like they have some real deal talent to like bring characters to life like that. Like we're not watching a movie, we're listening to it. So
right. So being as though like these are your babies, as you said, you're with them for months. Are you ever like, okay, I'm putting my baby into the hands of someone else, please take care of it? Like, how does that feel to have to release and know that you did your part and now it's in someone else's hands to deliver your message?
Nerve-wracking.
I can imagine.
I was telling somebody, I was like, I don't know, I'm always weird about like people reading my work. Like I don't like that feeling. So even whenever I'm given like the narrators my manuscript, I'm like, they have to read something I wrote. It's a weird feeling, definitely for sure. It's I don't know. And not that I think they're gonna do bad, like I know they're gonna do phenomenal. It's just this weird thing of like being sick, having them read my work. I don't know. It feels weird.
I can only
It's
imagine.
funny. I don't know why I feel like you're so carefree, like your energy, like you
So
just
whimsical.
you give off like light. So I feel like you're just like here, attention. Like
Girl, no, I'm like, oh my God, these people gotta read this stuff I done wrote. Oh my God, they gotta read these sex scenes I done wrote.
you write some deep stuff, which is so interesting because I feel like your whole energy, your vibe is just like nice. So for some of the stuff that be coming, I'm like,
let me tell y'all.
I said, my husband like this. Well,
let me tell you, every time Sarita was like obsessed with the Sun series, like she devoured it, right? And I have not read the full series yet, but I feel like I can reenact it as much as she talks about it, right? So when we saw you in New Orleans, like she was keeping it together, like on the outside, because you know you don't let them see it, but on the inside, she grabbed my arm and was like, "It's Rae Lyse," and I'm like, "Who?"
You write that, like you just give off. I told Nikki, I said she looked well. Like, why did she said, Nikki, that's her. I was like, but you said it was a pimping one of them stories. She's out of control. She's out of control. When I tell you that, man, if he would be like Serena, I would literally be thinking, like, is it gonna help the family? Like,
I love it.
when I tell you, like, I don't know how often people tell you, but your pen game is so sick. Like, we read a lot, okay? And we read a lot of urban, we read a lot of fantasy, we read a lot of romance, contemporary. Like, what you do is your own niche.
Yes.
Like, it's like you've carved out a special place just for you. Like, I don't know if you know that. Like, it's literally that unique.
Yes.
Thank you.
Again,
welcome.
I've also so cute. She's beautiful. And like, okay, I'm gonna be stressed out and I'm probably gonna cry because I've yet to read a story by you and not cry, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
My predictions were correct.
She's a crybaby though.
But if I don't cry during an emotional scene, I'm not connected to the story. Like,
that's how I am too. If I don't bawl, like I'm not feeling.
I don't really care about you.
If I'm not crying trying to write the scene, it's not hitting.
Are you an avid reader?
I am. So not like I used to be. So since I started writing, I can't read as much as I did before because if I'm writing romance, I can't read romance. I don't want to read no romance because I'm writing it for months at a time. And then once I finish writing, I'm tired. Like I've read this manuscript 1,000 times. I don't want to read anybody else's work right now. But I do read a lot. Like I'm sitting next to my bookshelf and it's like full to the brim of just books. And I read everything too. Like I'm not a real like in romance, I'm kind of picky. Like I'm a moody reader, but like other stuff, I'm not so picky.
Who are some of your favorite authors?
My all-time favorite author is Toni Morrison. As far as romance goes, Nia Forster, Takara Adams. Who else? That's all I can think of right now. It's more.
I can see you reading Nia Forster. I can see that for you.
She definitely like inspired me to start writing and to like publish on my own. But I love her. Love her to death.
I do too.
I was so sad I couldn't meet her at behind the pen. I will meet her one day.
It's gonna happen. It's
gonna happen.
That's about you. Like I'm gonna meet her. Like I was so happy. I was like, Nikki, not us hanging out, like not us being homegirls.
Like, let her tell it. When we got home, she got you on speed dial. You guys are best friends. You shop every Sunday. Like, and I'm just sitting there like, wow, I don't remember her telling you you're her favorite person ever. That's so crazy.
because you didn't listen.
I was so happy to see y'all in Pasadena. I was
unique experience.
It was.
You got to actually spend time with people and actually get to, when you're at a book event, it's so quick, so you actually got to talk. So I thought it was so amazing. You and your husband are adorable, like looking like prom king and queen. Just y'all so cute.
Thank you.
Okay. So what was the process? Was Ace talking to you? Like, what brought about at the end of it all?
So my ideas for my next book always come like when I'm finishing the book before. So like I was finishing up 30 and then I just kept getting this idea in my head and I was like,
when I tell you if that man says it's time to go, I'm gonna be like, mama's gotta have a life too. I done all I can do for these kids. Girl, I don't
Oh, it really bothers me that you say that so often.
But wait till she reads it. She's gonna take a whole new tune.
Okay, but the thing is, I don't got kids. I can say deuces. You can't.
I'm gonna send child support.
Not pay child support. Oh,
my kids, Nikki. Okay, because okay, it ain't about me.
No, it's not.
But I was finishing up 30, and so I just kept getting this idea in my head. Like I knew and that's my problem. Okay, I don't outline anything, and that's another reason why it takes me 80 years to finish stuff. Because I start writing, and then I'm like, yeah, this is not how it was supposed to go. But then characters start talking to you, and then they start telling you about themselves, and you have no choice but to just tell the story how they want you to tell it. So that's what happened. Like I knew, like Ace would be a basketball player. I knew he would be well off. I kind of knew some things, and then I started writing. And another thing too, like if I'm writing and it doesn't make me uncomfortable to write it, then I know I'm not doing my job. Like it has to make me uncomfortable. Like writing as spoiler alert, but writing Ace as an alcoholic, like that made me uncomfortable to put that on paper. And that's how I knew it has to be one because it's uncomfortable.
You know what? I'm gonna say it. Oh, here we go. This is the first time. You are the only person that can make me fall in love with a broke nigga. I'm telling you. The only person. I need you to understand how serious this is because why? Okay? Like why?
Thank you.
It's a talent, okay? So when money was like, oh, I'm in love. I'm gonna love him down.
Yes, we're gonna ignore the fact that she's a dirty old woman.
He was
dirty old woman.
Yes, her eldest son is older than him.
But she doesn't even look like she has a 23-year-old son.
So if he's gonna be 24,
y'all say I look 12, y'all look 12.
I don't know how them streets being grown.
I don't know how you do it, but you are so talented. I mean, literally, people are sitting here talking about something. It's okay that I might have to pay his phone bill. No, it's not okay. It's okay. I'm gonna help you out. Damn near like buying food stamps with us. You got me out here. I don't know how you do it. But what you do is so unique to you. And I mean, I'm telling you, I literally would be like, oh,
it's very intelligent writing. Like there's a purpose and a rhyme and a reason. Even something you don't realize there's a reason for until it hits you later. And you're like, oh my gosh, I get it now. Like, so my question is, was Marshall and Angie the loudest people talking to you? Because the way they were in the book and had a presence without ever touching page physically was just like top tier.
Angie was definitely loud, like for sure. Marshall too, but not as loud as Angie. Like she was definitely like way talking a lot more than other characters. I would say during the writing process, her and Fat talked to me the most. Ace was kind of a struggle at times. I don't know why exactly, but he was, until something clicked in my head one day and I was just like, this is not a struggle anymore. And I was just powering through with his character.
That is so interesting.
Oh my goodness.
So when they start talking, do you immediately just start writing down or text? Like, what do you do? Like, because I would be looking like, okay, I heard you. I heard you. Like, how do you not look crazy out here in these streets? Like, how?
So I think it's different for every author, but for me, most of the stuff comes like when I'm driving. So I can like immediately pull over and start typing. If I'm in the drive-thru or something, I might jot something down. But for me, it mostly comes when I'm driving. And I think that's when I'm like the most, I don't want to say relaxed because I really hate driving. But if I'm going like a long distance or something, I'm kind of relaxed and I'm listening to music and I'm just like in la la land. So that's when a lot of stuff comes to me. And it won't be like that they're just like talking to me. Like I'm getting like bits and pieces of like dialogue that
Right.
they're telling me. And then that's a lot of times like I'll craft a scene around like maybe a couple of sentences of dialogue. And then that's how I know like where I want to go with that scene, if that makes sense. But I do write a lot on my phone. Like I never write on my computer unless I'm editing the book. But like all of my books I've written strictly on my phone.
That is crazy.
So funny. Like I wouldn't expect that. You know who Alexandra House told us the same thing one time. I'm like, what? I couldn't even imagine. I lose so much stuff in that phone. Like I thought I saved something. I thought I sent it. Like I would be so angry. Like all my hard work is gone. Like, so I think it's cool that y'all do that.
I guess it's like a comfort thing. I don't know, like getting in front of a computer is kind of intimidating. Like if you've ever had to write like a term paper or just a paper for school or something, you know that feeling like when you get in front of a computer, you're like, damn, I really have to write all of these words and have this done by blah, blah, blah. But whenever you're on your phone, it feels like, you know, like I'll be just laying around writing, or I'll wake up in the morning, I'll roll over, I'll start writing.
That makes a lot of sense. I've never heard it explained that way because I'm too like, there's no way this masterpiece was written on a phone, but it is kind of intimidating. Where do I start? You start over analyzing, like your phone is kind of your comfort. So that makes complete sense.
Yeah. So I would have never, I like how you explain that. Because I was thinking like that is so crazy. But yeah, I guess if you kind of always have it with you and it's just like as it comes.
It's so cozy. Like I have it set to dark mode and I just be going.
She just has her phone to dark mode, but it's because her soul is.
Not the casual shade.
You know what I'm saying? Don't she just say it so regularly? Everybody thinks that I'm the problem. It's really her. Like I'm actually
like to transition into the next question.
Yeah, like it's nothing. I'm actually the sweet one.
I'm nicer.
Okay, but I'm still sweet, bitch. I'm like a dum-dum.
Okay. Did you always know Dominic was going to have such a presence in this particular story? Or did that just kind of happen as the writing did?
I did, actually. One thing I try to do, like, even though, like, you know, my books, they don't end on cliffhangers. Like, they're all, like, interconnected standalones. But I always try to, like, throw, like, a little update about previous characters in there somewhere. But I did know that he was going to have a pivotal role. Just because in Saving Sunflower, you know, he was born in California. So I was like, yeah, he's going to play a big role. And I think in that quote at the very beginning of him giving the Grammy speech, that's one of the first things that came to me whenever I was writing the book.
And I loved how you said giving the updates, like knowing that she was pregnant and just like all of that was like, oh my gosh, this is so perfect. So I do like that you do that. And I didn't realize like I always knew that I liked Dominic, right? But Dominic was so far back. He was, you know, book one, like Saving Sunflower. So then, you know, we get little bits and pieces of him throughout. But I always thought he was such a huge presence. So to the point now that he's getting Grammys and all of this stuff, I'm like,
yeah.
You see how his character like really like transitioned and like changed over time. I really like that. And I don't like to make people feel obligated to like go back and read my like my previous stories. So that's why I don't
I beg to
That's why I
differ.
put like enough in there to like make it intertwine with the story, but like I don't want people to feel I'm like, oh, I need to go back to understand this. Like, no, you don't. Like, they're just a present character in this book. You know, no worries.
I don't like to go against authors, but I beg to differ. This story, as I was reading, your actions, your words, not your physical words, but your words on the page, said, forget your TBR disrespectfully. And that's what I've been doing.
I'm sorry.
I don't agree. Okay. You definitely give enough where you don't have to have read the other stories, because like I read Dominic's story. So it was so beautiful to get that moment. But I'm like, okay, I don't like not knowing all these characters. I don't like not knowing. And disrespectfully, that series has been moved to the top of my TBR.
Oh, thank you.
Not to mention, I've been telling this bitch all this time to get on my level, but she don't never want to do that.
Nah, I'm a rebel at heart, so I can't do it when she tells me to.
I got you.
But I'm gonna listen to you yelling at me. Get your TBR, girl. I know that you're a whole Bookstagrammer out here, but you got other stuff to worry about.
Don't worry about Dre. Don't worry about Dre.
But the crazy thing is, like, you write this is the kind of writing that I like. I like a long book. I don't like cutesy. And I'm not saying I won't read it, but it's like, I don't need a sweet tooth. I don't want a toothache. I don't need that sugary stuff. That's not for me.
Thank you. I want to be broken down and put back together.
Like, at the end of the day, what are we doing? Okay, if we have not literally contemplated, like, damn, it's not, why are we spending 20 hours with someone that didn't take us there? So I love how long they are. Like, do you feel intimidated because they are so long? Like, because your first book was what, like 15 hours, 14 hours? Like, were you intimidated to do something like that just right off the bat? Or were you just like, this is what it is?
You know, with Saving Sunflower, I didn't know a lot. And so I was just kind of like writing. So, and then when I put it out, I was like, damn, this is a long book. And it was so long because I knew nothing about writing or publishing. And then when I published and I seen other people's, and I was like, yeah, this is a really long book. But then I kind of just got comfortable with it and just realized like, that's just my style, or that's just me. Like, even my shortest book is really long. 30 is the shortest book out of all of them, and it's still pretty long compared to the genre. So,
well, Bunny is like 12 years.
It is. It's so freaking long.
Bunny is
the longest book ever.
Forever. Like, and that one was like a completely different mind warp. Like, do you have to transform yourself to do certain work? Like,
I think so. I think that each of the characters that I write, like, they live within me. Like, they're a little part of me. You know how they say, like, when people die, like, oh, you know, they're still here, like, they're in the air you breathe and everywhere. So I feel like that with my characters. Like, I don't really have to transform myself. Sometimes do I have to, like, put myself in their mindset? Yeah, like, I'm constantly asking myself, okay, if I were in their shoes, you know, what would I do? And then what would they actually do? And I need to write what they would, not what I would do. So I do that.
Well, I will say them books be thick, okay? And as a mood reader myself, I prefer smaller books. And I don't mind the stories that break you apart as long as you put it back together again. And you did that. But so that's how I know.
Was like, I'm about to go ask Goodreads. Is this a happily ever after 3? She doesn't do it. You don't or anything. And normally they won't do stuff like that. I really was watching the book like, don't you dare skip to the because
I would never get to the end, but I was like, let me just go check the tags. Because if it says woman fiction, I'm gonna be really.
Oh, you will always get like a happily for now for me, like happily ever after, yeah. But I try to like stay true to life. Like you can have fairy tale endings, and I feel like they have their own fairy tale endings in their own way. But with me, like I don't do cliffhangers because I'm a mood writer as well as a mood reader. So like I ain't giving y'all no cliffhanger because the next day I might not want to write about these people. So
And see, that's the thing. I know I know something that just really speaks to me on a whole other level when it is that thick and I can't stop reading it because my mood will shift at the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
And had that not been the book club book, I would have read it in a day. Like, I would not have done, I would not care how late I had to be up. I would have read it in a day. It was so good. The character development, like, I love good characters. Even the characters you hated, even the characters that soul will never rest. Like, there was so many layers to it. And I was so completely invested to the point where I thought, Nikki, can you get away with reading more? And I couldn't because I was too emotionally raw talking about it. And I would have told on myself.
Are these reactions a lot of people have?
Yes, for at the end of it all, for sure. Yeah. I think just because it was a lot of serious subject matter in that book, like what happened to Ace, with Fat's mom, and her cancer diagnosis with Ace's mom and her cancer diagnosis. Like, it was a lot of heavy subjects in one book, but I feel like it was also true to life because think about your own life and all the stuff that you go through and that your family members go through. And like, a lot of people don't ever sit down to think like, damn, I really went through all of this just in 1 year, or dang, I really went in 1 month. Like, we're always in survival mode and just on the go. So you never sit down and think like, all this stuff has happened and like I haven't sat with it and I haven't thought about it. So,
and it was really well balanced though. Like, for all the heaviness, there was such a light to it that just, you're laughing out loud. You're just got a sweet smile. You're just like, oh my gosh. Bryce said, if you don't stop holding your mama's hand at this grocery store. It was perfect. Like, it was so well balanced. And that's not easy. Sometimes stories will have so much angst. It's like, okay, I need a break. Like, it's just too much.
yeah.
It was so balanced that even when I'm like, my anxiety's kicking in, what's going to happen next? I could not wait to experience what was going to happen next. And that's not an easy balance to keep always.
No, that's really hard. It would have been really easy to like make that book just like so depressing. So I was like, I need to, make sure that everything is pretty evenly balanced. So
it truly was. It wasn't too anxiousy. It wasn't too light. Like, it did feel like real life. And I think that's why people connect with the character so much. Like, this, you can see this being your little brother going through and having the weight of the world on his shoulders. And it just felt so real and authentic. Sometimes too much, but in a good way.
So what is this story classified as? Like, what do you write? Do you consider yourself like an urban writer, a contemporary? Like, what do you consider yourself?
I have no idea. I need my own genre on Amazon. Like, I have no clue. Even whenever I upload my books, like for publishing, I struggle with like the categories and what to put them in. And sometimes I'll like switch them out like later on down the line. Like, I'll put them in different categories because I don't know. I have no clue.
Sarita calls it intellectual urban.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. That's nice.
Because it's like, it always has an urban feel, but they're so intellectual. Like, it just transforms, like you could see that being someone's real life. Because a lot of times when we think of like all these different hood dudes or whatever, you don't think that they have anything to offer,
real substance.
But that's not true. And I feel like you do that. So I do believe that it's intellectual urban.
I like that. That's
Like to be fancy.
Did you always know starting out that there was going to be this divide between AW and Ace before they bridged it?
Did I always know? No. So at first, when I was starting to write at the end of it all, their relationship looked a little different. But then Ace's character kept talking to me and he was like, no, this is how it really looks. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I had to go down that uncomfortable path of, you know, writing AW's character, because I feel like he's a really complicated character, which I feel like is a good thing because that means he's true to life. Because it's a lot of men out there like AW who pour into like their community, into other kids, but they at home, they don't do that with their kids.
Right.
And so outside looking in, it's easy for us to say, you know, oh, they have it so good because their dad has a good job. He has all this money and look what he does, you know, for the community or for these other kids. But then when you talk to his kids, the story is different. And so, like, you know, how many times do you hear that in real life, you know, about big public figures like similar to AW? I feel like he was pretty true to life. Because I talked to so many people, and some people, like, it's like they hate him. And then you have some people who like are on the fence about him. Some people are in the middle. Some people just like they can't see any good in him because of how he treated Ace. So I like to hear all the different like reactions to his character. It's interesting to me.
Well, I think you did a good job like easing people into the relationship. Like they didn't start off at each other's throats. So as you're like pulling back the layers of their relationship, you're kind of like, whoa, AW, like what the hell? And it's funny, I guess I kind of got to see another side to it because Sarita has read it so many times that is, I'm like hurting in my feelings because I stand 10 toes down for Ace. She's like, okay, but yeah, but you know, he lost his mom, but he also lost his wife. Like he lost his soulmate. And I think it's easy to kind of forget that layer of it.
Yeah.
Because you're in Ace's head. So you see this boy breaking and just so tortured every day that it's easy to forget, like, and especially he's human. He's gonna make mistakes. I'm sure he regrets not being there, not being able to deal. So I think you did such a great job of unlayering that relationship before you're really in it.
Yeah. And that was my goal too. Like, I didn't want people to open it up and then like in the first chapter, like going at it. Like, I always like to start my stories off like you're just plopped into their world. Like,
that's true. I think you did a great job with that. I will say that with your stories, for me, that you have to read them twice, like maybe even more than that, right? Because my first time, my emotions were like, oh, hell no, right? So then when I read it again, I was like, okay, Sarita, but calm down. This man, and then I'm like, okay, so, you know, okay, she was also dumb and all the things, right?
So it's like the sixth time that you got it. The sixth time you read it.
The casual shade again.
I'm tired of her, okay? So, because I feel like I think of myself, I'm like, oh, I'm real versed in her work at this point, right? Like I know where she's, you know, I know, but you don't, like you think you know, but each story is completely different. So like Bunny took me the longest to reread, but after the second time, I was like, yo, this was a lot. Like they really, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not easier the second time. It's not easier the third time. It's almost harder, not because you know what's going to happen, but now you're like, I hate that he's about to say this to him. And why is he crying? Like, you know, and you're really digging deeper. Do you want is that the goal, right? Do you literally want somebody to read this like 10 times? Is this like you read it and put it down? You know how some stuff you never pick back up? Like, what is your ultimate goal with putting it out to the world?
That is my absolute ultimate goal, because I don't produce a lot. I don't drop a book every month or every other month. So my thinking is always quality over quantity, because at the end of it all came out back in April of last year, and it's January of 2024, and we're talking about it. So, so that's my ultimate goal. I want to write stuff that people can go back and read over and over and over again. It's some people who I talk to and they're on like their 10th, 11th read of At the End of It All or The End Game or 30. because they're like, every time I go back and read it, I find something new that I didn't realize, during a previous read. So that's why I put like a lot of thought and care into the words that I put on paper. Like, yes, it's fun to write and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like, I want something that's going to last, stuff that people can talk about. So
no, I mean, I'm telling you, I feel like you did that so well, even down to mixing that little piece with Josiah. Like, anybody that's read the story is like, you know what I mean? So
that's when I got the disrespectfully put your TBR down.
She needs to understand, what did he do for him? So I really think that the little, even though you're saying you don't want people to go back, if they don't
mind control,
they're gonna feel some type of way. Like, and I love how you do. This is kind of like the first time where I would say there wasn't like a long-term friendship throughout the whole process for the male lead. Like, that is you. I feel like even down to my man being away for so long, we already knew him by the time we got to his story. Like, you were so purposeful in everything that you did, and I applaud you. Like, I mean, it was just masterful. And then when you get, I don't know why you made a 21-year-old act like this. Okay, that was childish on your part.
My apologies. I'm sorry.
I mean, like, where is the mid-level women with kids? Can you cook with someone with kids? And now she's finding love. Like, just think about it. They don't need to be young. I mean, I know, not no little girl, right? Like, look at a bigger girl. I'm not gonna tell too much because you ain't read too much.
Then you've already told me. Lisa. Okay, back to the interview, you psycho.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't she have a problem? Like, oh my gosh. One more question. Do you do your own covers?
I do. That's why they look like that. I do them on camera. They're very homemade. Oh, simply because, okay, I don't think people realize, like, it's another thing, okay? So, Black narrators are hard to come by. So another thing is images, like stock images of Black people.
Yes.
That we're learning.
Damn near impossible to find decent ones of us. So that's frustrating. So you're like scouring websites for hours looking for the perfect image. And that's why you see duplicates too. Like, people use like this images over and over again, because I mean, it's not a lot for us to choose from. But yeah, I do them on Canva. Sometimes I'll have like, I'll get somebody to do it, like to spruce something up. Besides 30, Aubrey Penn actually did the cover for 30, which I'm so thankful. It's so sweet, yes.
That's our boo.
Yes.
Oh my
She was so sweet, and she did the cover for 30. I had a different cover before, but it had an image that somebody else was using, and they had already like dropped their book, and I didn't want to use the same image as them. So I went crying to Maisha, one of my readers, and I was like, somebody has the same cover as me. And she reached out to Aubrey, and I was so grateful for it.
Oh, that is so sweet. I love the connection. I love that.
I love that.
Because this man back right here is not 21. That's not a 21.
Nah, that's a grown man bag. That's like that's grown.
Yes, like was Bryson always in the cards as Fat's annoying friend?
Yes, absolutely. Him and Chelsea's relationship was so hilarious to me.
It was.
Just the amount of like insults I had to come up with, that was a job in itself. I was like, okay, I don't want her to be like duplicating insults, and she might have to every now and then, but like, they hate each other, and I want it to be known that they hate each other.
The revival, I was like, no.
And that's what I love about writing side characters, because they could have the like wonkiest personality.
Yes.
As long as they're moving the story forward and they have their own goals. Like, Chelsea was a nutcase for real.
She definitely was very removed.
Only blocks me because he loves me, right? That, right? That,
ruin their relationship as well. She was like, too far back, too far.
I think you did a good job with like two girls and a male friendship. Like
Mhm.
that's how it be. One likes more. And like I think you were perfect. And I have to say thank you for not making a damn friends to lovers.
Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
Because if she would have ended up with Bryson, I don't know what I would have did. I was like, what is she thinking? I might have had to message you and be like, I know this is done, but I think we made a mistake. Like, I think we got the wrong copy.
I think you did such a great job writing young kids, like young adults, not young kids, young adults, where it was on the cusp of adulthood, but still that childish mentality.
Yeah.
Sometimes for me, like, it doesn't hit. They feel too immature or too old. Something about it doesn't align with me. So reading this and like, it was just so real. Like all the characters that you were meant to love, you loved. All the characters you were meant to hate, you hated. And then even though there's some characters that are supposed to confuse you, like, I don't know if I like you today or if I hate you tomorrow. Like, it was so well balanced because for a minute there, I'm like, okay, Bryson, you're showing your age. And then it's like, okay, Bryson, your age isn't an excuse anymore. Like, and then for him to have his own arc in the background of growth was so like phenomenal. And then Chelsea and Bryson not knowing how to deal with Fat's mother's illness, like all the layers to the characters, it was just so phenomenal. Like, you write really good side characters.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that a hard process?
It can be, just because as an author, I feel like you don't want to throw characters into a story just for the sake of like having them there. I think we've all been there when we read a book and we're like, this character was really not needed. And so I try to avoid that by like making sure they all have a place and they all have like some type of goal, no matter how small it might be. It can be hard, like balancing a lot. That's something I struggle with, like whenever you have a lot of like side characters and a lot of people playing different roles. Like, and at the end of it all, it was like, how many of them was it? It was Fat, Marcus, CC, Ace, and then of course you have Angie and Marshall. They're no longer living, but they were also characters. And you got Bryson, and you have his teammates. So like, as an author, whenever you sit down and you start like mapping out your characters, it can become a lot. So everybody kind of has to have like their purpose. Like even his teammate, what was his name? Laquan or whatever his name was. You know, his character, like, the goal for him was, he was in emerging manhood too. Like he had this brother who was in trouble, he seen Ace and he knew that he liked Ace and he wanted to be Ace's friend. So just watching like that friendship bloom and watching Ace, kind of step into his role as the leader on their team, because that's something he struggled with at the beginning of the book. He wasn't like the ideal leader for them. He was kind of, selfish and in his own world. And we see that at the beginning, when he's at practice doing his own thing while he's supposed to be, fighting for his spot on the team and showing, AW, like, I'm here and I'm focused, but he's on other stuff. So yeah, it can be difficult.
That nepotism was real.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, Bryson tried it.
I like that you made Bryson handsome. I know that's probably not a big deal to a lot of people, but I like that it wasn't that he wasn't handsome. It wasn't that he wasn't smart. It's just he wasn't her person.
Yeah.
So, and I like that you did that. A lot of times they make
it too easy.
He's ugly or he's awkward or whatever. It was like Bryson could have been a catch. I just wasn't trying to, I didn't want him to throw it at me. So,
right.
I got no catches me. So, I like how you did that. You still made him, he could have been appealing. And even how she would be like, okay, so maybe he's going to do it this time. And he never did. Like, so I like that you did that. And
and you got to see why they were just two selling ships, why they never aligned. He just didn't have that that she needed, even though he wanted to be.
Right. I feel like at the stage Fat was in her life, like she needed that maturity in a partner. And he didn't have
Yes.
that. He didn't have that leadership and he didn't have that guidance that she needed. And so he couldn't grasp that. But like from everybody else's point of view, like from the outside looking in, everybody else saw it, but he couldn't see it.
I have another question. So you be writing so well, okay? So well. Do you enjoy those scenes, or is that kind of like something that you'd rather not? Because thank goodness for not being in the dark, baby, because nobody has time for that, okay? Like, and I love that you literally don't, when we wait for it, right? Like, you make us fall in love with these characters, but when you give it to us, baby, you give it to us. Do you like doing it? Like,
I do, and I'll tell you why. Because with sex scenes, you have to get really, really creative. Like, I don't like reading sex scenes where it's a lot of like, I don't even know how to word this. Where it sounds like a man would have wrote it or something. Like, it makes my skin crawl. And this is like, no, this to anybody. It's just me as as a reader. Like, you know, how sometimes you read sex scenes and you're like, oh, there's so many P words thrown in. So I feel like with, you know, sex scenes, I like that I can get creative. Like, and then it's also another thing, like another challenge with writing sex scenes, like it's easy where they can all start sounding the same too. So that's another thing. But, you know, generally I write for myself. So like I try to write in the way that I would like to receive it as a reader. So just a personal preference, you know, I'm not talking about anybody in particular or anything, but I just don't like reading sex scenes like where it sounds like a man or something wrote it. And I'm like, I mean, peas and
yeah.
Or it sounds mechanical. So yeah. I
felt like
beautiful and elegant as possible.
No, you write intimacy so well. Like we've already been in their minds, and like, I mean, we fell in love with it before we even seen it. Like you got us loving this man's whole thing, and we ain't seen it, touched it, nothing. So once it actually happens, we're like, of course it's veiny. Of course he holds it so gently.
I love it.
You just do such a good job with the intimacy of it all. Like, so when it came down to their first time, like, did you always mean for it to be like the most romantic thing?
Most tragic. I was gonna say, like, talk about creativity. Like, I was like, that was like top tier writing because it did not lack in the sexiness, it did not lack in the intimacy, it did not lack in the
storytelling,
but then it also did not lack in the heartbreak of that
actual tragedy of it.
Like I really was like, this is, excuse my language, this is a mind fuck. Like,
I'm sorry for that.
It was so good. Like I read it twice just to truly capture the, not just because it was hot, but because like
sometimes I just go back to it just because of that.
The give and tug is kind of what it felt like to me. And it was just, it was intimacy in a whole new level, like a whole new way, in a way I've never experienced before. And it was just so masterful, like beyond.
So how did you do that?
Ooh, I don't know, because that's another thing about sex scenes too in my books. I always like for them to serve a purpose as well. Like, of course they're gonna have sex, that's the fun part, but like, you know, it also kind of has to move the story forward too and reveal new things about each character. So that's kind of like, I guess, one of the ways like I intertwine certain things in there. And really in that scene, I don't think I started off thinking that it would just be like so romantic and heartbreaking at the same time. It was something I wrote like over the course of like, God, I think weeks. It took a while to put that scene together. Like the long scenes in my book where like the characters are really like alone and being intimate, they always take a long time for me to like write. I always end up going back and tweaking and adding more, like taking things away because I don't want to reveal stuff too early and stuff like that. But yeah, that particular scene, it took a while. It definitely took a while. And then she was a virgin, of course. So like, how could I make that true to life? Because that's another thing too. Like, whenever you're writing a character who's never had sex before, you don't want to like romanticize certain things. Like, it's gonna hurt, it's not.
I mean, it takes me back to Josiah and Jay's first time. Girl.
Yes, I was gonna bring that up. Yes, in the end game. They had like
baby
things too where
baby.
Yeah.
When I tell you, I was like,
you are in my head. I was gonna bring up the end game too. The scenes in the end game,
I was just like, okay. And I know this man only 10, but I'm so ready to be like, well, I gotta take my stuff now. That was a man, okay?
Yeah, JoJo is a man. I don't care what nobody say. JoJo
is a man, baby. Like, he handles business, okay?
Good.
I mean, he be standing on business. That is a whole ass man. And till this day, I ain't read nothing like that. Nothing like that. I've read very raunchy. I've read very romantic. I've read nothing. The way that you broke it down was so like, oh my God. And I was listening to it. So it was even more like just perfection. Like perfection. And I was like, this is worth the wait. Because I was like, if he don't hurry up and bust her down.
Okay, because they definitely had like a whole tug of war going for a while in the end game. But when it finally happened, it happened.
Baby. I mean, he's giving it to everybody. Saved it for her because I was like, listen, baby, don't worry about what she's doing over there. And the fact of what had happened before it happened, I was like, oh my gosh. I told Nikki, I say, Nikki, he really is a nigga. Like, the way that she do this, like, this is not, I hadn't actually got to talk with you yet or actually meet you. So seeing you be this itty bitty adorable little thing, I was like, there. Like, I was being real rough after it. Like, it transformed me. I'm telling people, I mean, it changed me. Okay.
Oh man.
So I see the creativity, baby. I see it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Another layer to the intimacy that I felt like that we very rarely ever get was him teaching her how to put on the condom.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I loved that scene. There was something so loving and like in the educational aspect of it all, of him teaching her how to take care of herself and be safe. Even though I'm like, I don't know why you playing her face. You ain't letting her go nowhere. No. But I love.
Was that always scene. What you wanted it to be, a teachable moment?
At first, no. Until I think I was on like the second or third rewrite of that scene. And I was like, I need to go back and add this in. I was like, this is super important. So there I go. Want to add more stuff.
But I feel like a lot of stories, again, we do read a lot of romance, and a lot of times ain't nobody bringing up no condoms.
No, it's glossed over.
So I kind of like that you did that with them being young and her being her first time, so easily to get pregnant with everything that was going on. I kind of like that you took the time to act. I mean, it's not like he respected the condom afterwards.
Nah.
But the fact
you go back to it eventually.
The fact that he respected
and I feel like that was true to life too, like them starting off trying to use condoms and then it just like
Get
Like,
caught up. It was Cece saying she too young to be a grandma, so y'all better wear condoms for me.
Girl, her saying the girl spreading after the first time, CC. I was like, black mom. Only a black mom.
Oh, was Cece based off of anyone? I feel like her character was so distinct.
I don't think she was based on like one particular person. I can say like in my real life, I have a lot of like larger than life personalities around me, like way larger than my personality. So it like bleeds over into my character sometimes. So a lot of times people aren't just like modeled after one person, but it could be like several different people.
Right.
I know in real life.
I like
can
that.
see that.
I know that we don't want to tell too much of the story for, spoiling it for people. But did you always want the issue to be the issue?
Wait, which issue? It's so many.
You're gonna have to speak. I'm gonna tell them again.
Just a little tiny hint. It's so many.
Okay, talking about Charlene. What's her name?
Yeah. You didn't name that girl Charlene.
I need to have her name correct for when I write it out to the ancestors.
Okay, Charlene. Charlene. Oh, I just keep wanting to call her Becky with the good hair. I don't know why I want to say
that. That is hilarious.
Was that always what you meant to be? And that I like how you said that there was so many situations.
It wasn't a lot.
There was a lot, but is that the one that you always wanted to go with?
Yes. So whenever I first started out, the outcome looked a little different. Like as far as like the truth of what happened. But then, like I said, the more his character started talking to me, the more I was like, no. And then also, like, just in real life, I know too many Black boys with the same story as Ace.
And that's what's so sad.
I struggle with not having hate speech in these videos. There was things I wanted to say.
I feel like it was so triggering to a lot of people too. I realized, like, whenever it first dropped, like so many people were in my inbox because they were so triggered by, and even a couple of my beta readers too. Like they were just like upset.
Well, being a mother of two Black sons, I felt like, and these are things that I tell my son all the time. Like it's constant
open conversation.
I'll say it to him in front of his white friends. I don't give a shit, right? You need to hear this, okay?
Yes.
I have no problem, okay? So, but to read it, and I don't know why, it's a conversation that I have daily, but to have read it as being the young man going through it, I was like, yo, this is so needed. Like all Black moms need to read this and share it with their little Black sons or Black daughters, Black sons. Everybody should be reading it because it can happen in the blink of an eye.
It can. And that's so heavy, I feel like, to carry as a mom of Black sons. Like, I don't have any kids, but I can imagine like how hard it is to raise like a Black man in today's society, like how difficult that would be, and like those types of talks that you have to have. And when the book first came out, I was in like a spoiler chat, I think, with Black Girl Book Club podcast, and there was a discussion in there about like, like you're upset that, when these things happen, you're upset at the man because like you put yourself in proximity for it to happen. Then you're upset with the accuser because it's like, and so as a Black woman, it puts you in like this weird space. Like that was like, it was a super good conversation though in that chat. It was.
And I think the way you wrote the whole story, like from beginning to end, the webs and everything was so like masterful because
and
it's
respectful.
Like,
I think you were so respectful of all parties, as if these were actual people that you were telling their story. You were so respectful of it, and I don't know how you did it and kept like you didn't call her what I wanted to call her
and still been objective, like because it's like as a woman you want to be like I stand with her, you know what I mean? But
no, I stand with him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like as the story, and you're like, because I'm like, what could he have done to indefinitely be canceled?
But Fat did a good job of being a young girl, being like, I'm supposed to side with her.
That's what I mean. The struggle of it all, and then being like, no, it happened. See, because I stood 10 toes down immediately I knew it was some tomfoolery. But to go through that struggle, like in real time, as a young girl already dealing with so much and on the cusp of womanhood, I think you wrote it so well. And it was realistic. It wasn't like, okay, well, this is how I want the story to go. Like the progression of it was so real. It was a living, breathing organism. Like you truly, and then to add the audio and have such great narrators breathing life into it. It's like you said, you were like watching a movie.
It was phenomenal. And I know we've talked about the side characters, but I loved how you literally made Chelsea a teenage girl. In seeing something like that. Of course he did it. Like, don't be around him. Like, why would the internet lie to us? You know, that's what Twitter said. So I felt like you transformed us to being that age again. And remembering how we did believe everything that we read. We did believe everything we saw.
Yeah.
The shade room posted
We hear
it.
on social media, we read on social media, or hear on the news, like, oh, you know, it's a fact for sure.
Yes, and I think you did that so well. Like I believe it took you a year to write it. Like I believe it. I definitely feel like you sought out to do something completely different from anyone else. You sought out to do something completely different from even what you've done. And I feel like you really succeeded. You truly made this story like its own. Like I don't know if you're gonna make a book 2 because you don't need to. Like this motherfucker stands, you know. Like
as a DC reader, I'm always gonna push for a book 2.
Like it's
but
Marcus and Chelsea gonna make it work.
A great job of pulling the story together and, like you said, giving their version of a happily ever after and letting it be that while also leaving the door open. You should walk through. You should walk through. But to let your mind travel on like this beautiful future they have, like it was wrapped up in such a pretty bow that it's amazing that you wrapped it up realistically. And that it wasn't just like, okay, well, it's a romance.
Yeah,
so
he's
it's a happy
in
ending.
the NBA now. Like it's this.
No, like,
yeah.
But I mean, it would be great to read about him in the NBA.
We shall see. I don't know. I always like to leave like the end, like the epilogues up for like interpretation. Like I think even in Saving Sunflower, like we didn't really know, like, okay, is he really gonna be this successful? Like at the end, like, you know, they had their whatever. I don't want to tell it for people who haven't read it, but you know, but it's just like, you know, is this gonna sustain? You know, how is this gonna end? So I always try to, you know, leave that little door open so I can give updates in later books or something.
And I think you do a really good job on that. Like, I mean, we've talked about how just being the way that you do a story is so unique to you. And I think that's why it was so magical hearing about Dominic again. And then being like, my man did it. Like,
it's like he made it.
He made it. Like, I really, really love all of that. I think that you wrapped it in such a unique bow. Like, I'm just saying, I do want to know if Marcus really gonna be serious about this girl. I'm just saying, because he needs to stop playing with her. When that fool said that this how he got his first gal, and the other bitch get mad because he called her a bitch. What is this? All I say. I told
Marcus is a unique character too.
I don't know niggas like this. No way. Like, there just ain't no way, because, and then you think about like the Black experience, right? Like we all know somebody, whether it's to the point of a romanticized story or an urban story or a real life fiction, whatever it is, when a Black person is writing it, it just somehow it translates to other Black experiences. I feel like that's what's so magical about Black writers and Black readers.
Exactly. Yes. And that's why it's important to have Black authors that write Black books. Like, it's super, super important. But that's always one of my goals. Like, whenever I publish, is just to make it true to us and true to our lives. Like,
well, even down to you saying it's hard to find Black narrators. I love that you're actively seeking Black narrators to tell these Black stories. There's been times when I've listened to other audiobooks and I'm like, I don't think he's allowed to say that word, Nikki. Like,
I've heard that there have been people of other races who narrate Black books. And I think that's so disturbing. Because
what if it's the verbiage in the verbiage in itself, sometimes I'm like, I'm literally looking around as if
I can't say that.
I'm gonna get in trouble because I shouldn't be letting this white man say that word. You know what I mean? So I appreciate the active searching for people to. Yes.
And even on covers too, like I try to make sure like it's represented on the cover. Like this is a Black love story. There's no, there's no questioning whether, is it, how sometimes like you come across books and you like,
every time. And
you like, gotta start reading and you like, and then you start reading stuff and you're like, okay, I was making sure.
Don't be looking for like a specific genre or trope because you need it for like we need it for a project or something. It's like I gotta read the book and then you gotta keep reading. Like, oh, okay.
I've been hot. I was like, I read this whole damn story. It's just peach.
Peach.
Yes. Description of the word, but now I'm all the way in, so I gotta finish it. And I'm getting mad because I'm like, it don't even work. Back to the audio. You did it on your website first. Do you normally do that?
No, that was my very first time doing it because this audiobook I funded myself. So I paid for it completely. So I own it.
Oh, okay. Good for you.
Thank you. But the other ones, they're under a contract with Podium. So that's why they went to Audible first. But another thing too that a lot of readers or listeners, like Audible listeners, don't realize is like Amazon, first of all, has a monopoly on this whole game. They own Audible, they own Goodreads, they own it all. People don't really go to Barnes and Noble for ebooks and stuff like that. Amazon is like the top. So like when your book is on Audible, they take such a huge cut of your money. Like it's a lot. So yeah, so that's why a lot of authors go the route of like putting it on their website first because the money, everything comes directly to them.
Right.
Yeah, you have to pay, for your book funnel subscription, but like that's like a drop in the bucket compared to like what Amazon takes from you and Audible. Like even me just uploading my ebook and like the paperback and hardback, like each time somebody buys one of my books, Amazon takes a huge cut. So like I'm getting like a certain amount of, money.
So will you do that from now on? Put it on your site first?
It depends. It depends because funding your own audiobook is costly. So that's where, Podium comes in and Tantor and those types of companies come in because, they'll get the rights and they'll pay. They'll pay you in advance and then, they'll pay you a cut and stuff like that. So that helps, especially when you're an up and coming author and you don't have the funds like to completely fund a project yourself. Just depends. I don't want to say yes. I don't want to say no. So I don't know.
Right. Well, I applaud you because I don't think it's easy to take a leap of faith upon yourself and not put it where it's easily accessible. Like, recently, I've been noticing a trend when authors are doing that and how some people, their reviews are reflecting it. People are attacking their books because of that. So I applaud authors who take the steps to own their brand. You know what I mean? Like it's important. This is your baby. You should get paid as such. So I applaud you. And I think it is very brave and amazing.
Thank you for that. And I think a lot of readers, they don't realize like how much money like we lose and how much they take from us. Like it's crazy how much they take from us. So, taking ownership and owning like your audio rights is like a huge thing. Like that's big because, a lot of people aren't doing that. So but it's definitely worth it. So yeah.
Good
That's
for
amazing.
You. Well, I mean, I feel like for me as an audio girly, as soon as I see that an author has it on their website, I immediately go and get it. But then because Nikki and I share the account, isn't a part. She's not a part of my book funnel. So then I will buy the audio on Audible, or she will. So then we're like, it's okay because now they're getting double. So like we
There's
just
so
feel
many
like
Appreciate that. Thank y'all so much for that.
there's so many books that we own in our book funnel and on Amazon, just because it's easier. Like for Audible, for example, like you have to own the book and listen to a certain percentage before they'll let you review the book. So
Yes.
we buy the audiobook
because we want to review it.
Yes, and we've listened to it on book funnel, but it's just like you still deserve your flowers where a lot of people are going.
Yes. Thank you guys for that. And another way I think about it too, like whenever I put it directly on my website first, I'm like, okay, these are for like my ride or dies, like my tried and true. I know, like they don't give a damn where I uploaded it. They coming to find it and they're gonna buy it. And then Audible is, you know, it's for the people who are still like, you know, like they're on the fence or they're looking for something new to read, then, you know, they have it there on Audible. And then I also understand that people have Audible memberships too, and they pay for that month. I'm understanding of that. And I always try to keep people updated too. Like whenever I put at the end of it all, like I uploaded it to Find Away Voices, they're like the distributor and they distribute it everywhere to Audible and stuff. It took forever for them to put it on Audible. Like they held it hostage for so long. It was crazy. And so I definitely felt bad for the people with Audible subscriptions who were waiting for it. Because I was like, yo, I'm so sorry for this. I thought it was going to be like a couple days thing. No, they said, no, ma'am. It took weeks.
I don't like to wait. The moment you said it was up there, I was like,
well, and I think it's important to support authors on their site. Just because, again, this is your baby, it's your work. But as we've come along in our book blogger journey, we've learned so much about like the red tape of it all and how that can happen. Like there's times when Amazon is having a sale and it's like, okay, cool, let me get some books or whatever. And pre-orders will be on sale. You're discounting a book that's not even out yet.
And we stand by not buying them when they do not. We do not buy them.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
It's horrible.
There's been times where an author has just put a book out and then they did one of those like 50% off sales. And I'll be like, oh, Nikki, this is horrible. Like, and it breaks our heart that they do that sometimes. I mean, obviously it's the way of the world, right? But if we can support, we're going to buy directly from the author if possible. I mean, we want to buy Black. We want to read Black. We want to support Black. So
appreciate it. And Audible subscription people, I hear y'all too. Like, I know y'all pay for your subscription, so no worries. Like, if you don't go directly, it's okay. I get that too. But yeah, thank you guys for that. It's because it's hard.
Imagine me waiting for Ace.
She said, I wasn't waiting for my man.
Girl, no, you waited though.
I have it.
I know, but you're regular. I already knew right away.
So I'm the queen of buying books on Book Funnel and not reading them. Again, mood reader. But Sarita just wants everything in her time.
I prefer the audio to have them on Book Funnel. Mostly, obviously, you're going to buy them directly from the from the author. But I did have a question on that because sometimes authors do not put it on Audible after it's only been on their Book Funnel. How do you write a review then?
For me, I know you can just go to my website and leave a review.
Okay.
There's like an option whenever you go to buy it. There's an option, I believe, to write a review, and then they'll like notify me and I can approve it. So I always tell people, you know, even if you can't review it on Audible or something, like you could just go to my website and leave a review. And I want to say there might be an option on Book Funnel too, I think, if the author has like a direct sales page. It may be a space for you to leave a review too. I don't want to lie. I think it is though. I think it is.
Thank you, because that sometimes has been an issue. Because I mean, I want to try to leave as much reviews and hype them up as much as possible, but I just didn't know how to do that. But thank you for that.
Yes, and then you'll notice a discrepancy too, like when an author will upload on their website first, and that's with an ebook or audiobook, and they leave it up for a while, and then they put it on Amazon or Audible, and then like the reviews are like low. Because you know, there's that discrepancy where people bought it on the website, so then, which I understand, you know, because it's a hassle to go. Yeah, that's why I always ask like gently, like, hey, can you guys go leave a review, or you know, just
Mm-hmm.
social proof that y'all like the book and like other people will buy it. So
No, I think it's definitely important. Again, like being on this journey, you, as a reader, I never realized the importance of, okay, I'm gonna give you the 5 stars. I really enjoyed the book. On to the next. Like, especially as a mood reader, like when I'm in the mood, I go through books. Like I
yeah.
go through books. So now I'm like, okay, take a step back, give them the stars, but also make a mental note to, even if I'm not gonna write a review, I need to do a video review.
Mm-hmm.
I need to talk about it to let people know, go out and get this book. I need to do better about my written reviews. Yes, Sarita's great about her written reviews. I need to be about my written reviews. But I think when you put a face to it,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it easier. Like, you're our homegirl.
Mm-hmm.
We're
now she's our
besties.
homegirl.
Yes.
But when I said she was my
No,
homegirl,
you was rewriting the story. Anyway, it makes it easier. I appreciate authors who take the time to get to know their readers, is what I'm trying to say. Because there are some that are standoffish, and not me. I'm not in my feelings, but I have noticed a trend of talking to people that they only ride for the authors that they feel like ride for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you, and I thank you for making yourself accessible to us readers.
Absolutely.
And not just book bloggers. I feel like people think, oh, well, you're a book blogger, you have a following. Of course. No, people talk about you like y'all are besties too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be like, okay, but favorites, but good for you. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you, and I thank you for making yourself accessible to the readers who do want to talk about the books, who do want to be like, oh my goodness, AW is the worst. Because some authors won't make themselves available.
Of course. Like I need you guys. Like without y'all, I wouldn't have any of this. I wouldn't have the following, anything like that. And I always tell people, like, if you want to support me, the best support you can give me is just tell somebody about my book. Like, I can scream from the rooftops about how good I think this damn book is that I wrote. And guess what? People are going to look like, of course you think that you wrote it. So, whenever somebody else is bragging on it, that's a different like level.
Right.
People trust you guys. How many people do you know that trust your recommendations? So it's like,
Yeah,
that's the best way I feel like, a person can support me, just by telling other people about my work. But yeah, I'm always accessible. We have too much fun in my DMs, is all I'm gonna say. You may not see it on your timeline or whatever page, but listen, we cut up too much.
way too much. Way too much.
I enjoy it. I do. So I hope we have not taken you too much time. Do we have any more time? I know you're probably like, Heifers, it's late.
Girl, y'all
I just
have
want to ask
all the time.
because I'm the classy sister. Go ahead and ask some of the questions.
Cree, was she end up being such a pivotal character? As the story was progressing, was Cree always there? And did she always have that backstory of, hiding secrets of her own from her family? Or was she someone that was created to help the story along?
So I struggled with Ace and his friendships. Like, because remember earlier I said, like, at first I struggled with his character a little bit because, like, I knew his background and, where he came from and stuff. But then deep down, I knew he was like a lone wolf. And I was like, who would befriend this dude and who would he actually let in? And so that's how Cree came about. But then, of course, her character started talking to me too, which is annoying when side characters start talking to you.
Not
like, damn, golly, like I'm tired. And that's when her story came out and came about. And also, like what we were talking about earlier about like that struggle with like believing Cheyenne and also supporting Ace, I felt like Creed's character was really representative of that struggle. Yes. And also Javier was her brother and also Cheyenne's lover, boyfriend, whatever. So she was really stuck in the middle. And I know a lot of people hated her character, but I feel like she was really like representative of that whole struggle. Because I think if I were in her shoes, I would be kind of the same way. Like you want to support this person, but it's like,
this is your family.
Yeah.
like this is my family, my best friend. And it's just like, and I felt like she handled it the best way she knew how. So
I agree. I felt like her character was so complex just because it's not easy being the person in the middle.
Oh, it's not. And she was definitely stuck in the middle.
You know, and sometimes you can't just wipe your hands of either or situation. And so I loved getting to see that struggle she was going through someone else's eyes, even down to Ace being like, okay, but there's not any first game. You still have to go. Like, and how I really enjoyed her character.
I did too. And I felt like you did a good job with showing her, because when it came down to doing what was right, she did it. It wasn't about family or anything else. It was what was right. And that was right. You know, that was what was right. And I like that you did that.
Thank you.
I think it was great because it could easily be seen as
leave old girl
playing both sides.
Like, do she? But I don't need an update about them. I just need to know. Like, did he leave her, or is he still walking with this heifer who really wants something else? I don't know, something more chocolatey. It's just us girls. If you feel like I'll get in the DMs. I just need to know.
I don't know, because in the epilogue, they were still together. Whenever, I want to say, don't get me lying, but I want to say in the epilogue, like whenever they're in court, they refer to him as like her fiance.
But I feel like he had to do that because his publicist said you can't abandon her right now. Like,
probably so. And Blake Harvey was throwing so many hints at that. He was like, look, this is how it's gonna go. Like,
I think Creed did a good job of separating the two. And I think that's what people failed to realize. Like, she really had
wasn't playing both sides.
Yeah, she had to separate herself, especially in the moment when Fat's going to confront her. It's easy to be like, oh, she's working both sides. But truly, she was living a double life in every aspect of the word. You know, to have someone that she can fully, truly be herself without judgment, and then to have to be there for her brother and wear a mask. Because even then she wasn't fully herself. She couldn't be, or she wasn't comfortable to be.
Yes, exactly. And you're the first person to really say that about Cree. A lot of people took her character like at face value, like they didn't really pay attention to the layers because they were just so angry that she was still friends with Cheyenne. And what you just said is really what I wanted, her character to like represent. And I wanted that to come across on paper. Like, she wasn't really from both sides. Like, she was just trying to survive. Like,
and I thought that was super dope.
Yeah. Something I love is when an author will tell you something without explicitly saying it. So I look for those things. And I felt like you displayed Cree's struggle so well at brunch, and her being frustrated because in her heart, she knows what was true, but her mind is telling her what society says it should be.
She doesn't have proof, right? I even like how I think that's what works for me and Nikki, because we literally break down the chapters to discuss them. So I feel like it's a little bit easier to see what we are hoping to see or what's underneath or whatever, because we're not just reading it straight out and then getting in your DMs. We literally break it down to discuss it. So I do feel like it makes it easier.
And it was hard to discuss because it was so much.
I told her, because we have a set little situation, right, where we do this, this, and this. I said, Nikki, you need to add more days. She was like, Sarita, it'll be fine. I was like, Nikki. She was like, Sarita. I was like, okay.
But you guys did an excellent job on the videos and the discussions. Like, y'all really break it down. Y'all do an excellent job.
Thank you. We tried. No, it wasn't easy because one, I wanted to just scream, yell, and curse the whole time. The other aspect, there was so many layers. Like, there was so much that, as much as we talked about, there was so much more left out because, again, you're really good about stating the obvious without stating it. You're good about layering characters and humanizing them. Like, to me, I felt like Angie was larger than life. But in my opinion, obviously we don't know, Angie was the first person to give Ace a drink. Obviously wasn't the goal to turn him into an alcoholic, but like, to me, it made her more human.
But what black mama don't give you a sip?
No, I know, but I'm
So
just
it's like
saying.
she didn't know he was gonna love it. Okay. You know, like,
but I'm just saying, like, it's sometimes some characters are just so great that they don't feel human. Like,
yes,
Angie was so human in her brilliance.
Need those flaws to humanize them.
Yes.
Because in real life, we're all not perfect. Like, we all have our flaws. We all have our vices and stuff like that. And I do agree with you. Like, that's something that we can infer, like, off page. Like, Angie most likely was the first person to give a first drink.
For sure.
Yes, and she's passed away in the story, so she can't do any wrong. So in my head, it was just like, here's this woman, this mother who loves her whole heart is her son, and then here goes her other heart living outside her body, and like being that person to have to bridge the gap between them was like, and then Fat just so effortlessly stepping into that role, and how you showed that with the epilogue.
Well, I think you showed it well with him jumping in, being the bridge between her and Cece.
Yes.
Like he slid right in there and was like, moms don't need that greasy stuff, you know, like immediately. And then for Cece to be like, pour this man a drink.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
I love her.
And when she was teaching him xylitol,
it was all the little things that just made up such a perfect picture.
This book, it wasn't thick enough for everything you did. I don't know how you made it all happen.
She's absolutely right. Like, it should have been like this.
It wasn't thick enough for everything you did. Like, and not even what the extras, because we're greedy readers. Not even the extras, just what you did. I can't imagine it being just that size. Because, baby,
I struggled during the editing process. I was telling my editor Janine, I was like, it's a lot, and I was like, we need to cut. Yes, Janine. I was like, we need to cut some, and so we were on the phone talking about it. And she was like, I was looking for places to cut, and I said, yeah, I was too, but it was just already too much, like, intertwined in the scene. It was too much backstory, too much foreshadowing. I couldn't cut it without it like ruining the story.
There was no wasted word. Every page, every word, every sentence, every thought was needed.
Yeah, I honestly, being so for real, you could have added more. Like, there could have been more. Just down to, you think it was perfect on its own, right? But then I'm like, oh my gosh, we could have learned some more about Marcus. Oh, we could have really learned about Lucy. Oh, I would have loved to learn about the home health nurse. Like, they're so literally, I couldn't imagine you taking anything out. I mean, at all.
Again, that whole stating without stating, you give enough that the person's imagination can run wild. Excuse me. So again, the story feels larger than life, and you're not even realizing you just wrote a chapter that doesn't exist within the whole book.
Yeah, we'd have added all kinds of stuff.
That's how I love a book. If I'm creating fan fiction about a book, whenever I'm done, I love it.
That's it. Can you walk us? Sorry to cut you off, but can you walk us through the process for new authors of how to find an editor?
I was just gonna
how to bridge that gap.
Will you use Janine again? Has she edited all the books, or is just this the first one?
So Janine has edited At the End of It All and 30. Before she came on board, I was doing a lot of self-editing and like paying people to proofread. But then thankfully, we were able to connect, and now she can't get rid of me.
That's a blessing. I love her energy. She is so perfect. She's so perfect.
So if any of you out there need an editor, then you can contact Janine. She is Imagine Consulting. I want to say on Instagram. It's IMAJIN Consulting on Instagram.
I will link it in the description, you guys.
Yes, please do. Please do. And then Another place that authors, like new authors can look is like Fiverr. You can get like freelancers, people who do edits on there. With Fiverr, I will say, it's a little tricky, especially when you're writing Black books or like romance stuff like that. What I used to do was kind of like look for like Black women editors and like, you know, romance may not have been like the genre like that they specialize in, but as long as they were a Black woman, I'm like, okay, like they can kind of like feel my voice and kind of feel the story that I'm trying to tell, and they can, you know, spruce up what needs to be spruced up. But yeah, before I had Janine, I was really relying a lot on just like self-editing, beta readers and proofreaders. And beta readers are really important too. So like even if you can't afford like editing services, it's super important to like cultivate like a team of people you trust, like to give you feedback. The rule I always use, like if multiple people are saying one thing, then it's probably something I need to look at. And one of the things a friend told me, they were like, you know, they can't tell you how to fix something, but like they can bring it to your attention. You have to figure out how to fix it. Whatever.
I like that. I like that. And I completely agree. I think it's so important to understand the Black experience to understand this book. Like of just walking into Cece's house and it being mom and it just being established, it's not being weird, like it just is what it is.
And you had to have known as a child you put grease in ground beef and you knew you wasn't supposed to. You got to know that's an experience that you know because you've been there. You know, and it burnt too fast. That was
I was like, oh, fat can't cook. Why?
No, she could not cook at all.
Why Marcus lied?
No, he was like, y'all about to eat spam over there.
Except Serena's kids, they're weird. They got like
they love spam.
They
like fried spam or just spam out the can.
Girl, they would eat spam with sous vide. I mean, it's so embarrassing.
Like I'm just like, y'all look. Girl, so y'all wouldn't have to. Why are you willingly doing that?
They're not Asian, but they want spam with rice. They want, and I'm like, no, stop it. Girl, I had to put a stop to spam in my house. I'm like, we don't need any pork. Like, it's out.
Who first gave them spam though? Like, where did the love affair start?
Touch the stuff.
It had to be my ghetto mom because no spam. And it will be so embarrassing, girl. We will literally sit down and we about to have us some nice sushi, and one of them motherfuckers will be like, "You got spam and stuff." But that's it. Tuna tartare. That's why they work for spam. So embarrassing.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
And I'm just like, we walked, we crawled through grass, like we did everything for y'all little niggas to have good life.
And y'all love eating spam.
You know what I'm saying? And then got the nerve to be like, this one don't even taste that salty. It's sodium, sir. It was triggering. There was a lot of things that
really bougie. Like they're really bougie. So when they do stuff like that, I'm like, pick a struggle.
I mean, it's not. I low key. It's crazy. Like you're gonna be like, there's no way they eat spam, and then they're gonna say something like, oh, they eat spam. Yeah. I don't know. I don't like.
That is hilarious.
It hurt me, okay? And I too was like with the ground beef and her making him that extra large glass. When she said get my good glasses, my mom is so good for her good stuff. So I just knew
it's an experience. Like it truly is knowing, walking in and being like, okay, mom's frying chicken. Like it can't be explained.
It's something.
It's
like,
cultural.
People that say they read these stories and they make the character Black, they put themselves in the story as a Black person. And I'm just like, there's no way, because they eating cream of wheat. There ain't no grits over there. Like, it's not the same thing. They, you know what I'm saying? So how did you put yourself in a bowl of cream of wheat? I'll never know. Wasn't no sausage. Oh, okay. We don't put grits on our, no cheese. Got it. So just certain things that I feel like I love the Black experience through a book, because somehow we may not all have had the same experiences. We do understand our experiences.
Yes. And that is what I always try to do in every book. Like, it doesn't matter what walk of life the character is from. Like, if they're Black, there are just certain experiences that are unique to us as Black people.
Agreed. And I like that your heroines are always different. You know, like, not, you know, Fat being more chocolate and then Jade having dreads. Like, I like how you don't just make a light-skinned character, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then even just, why can't I think of my man's name? Well, Mo having, even just getting his whole grill. Like, why, Mo? Why? Because he's Mo. Desmond is ghetto, right? Like, it's just, and we all know somebody like that. So I just appreciate the Black experience, like, in such a way too, and so intelligent. Like you write urban, again, I don't know if that's what you write, but that's what we're gonna say. You write these intellectual romance, these urban romance characters so bomb. Like,
thank you.
And I want to shout out, because I think sometimes in books I've read, the struggle has been writing a strong female that's still vulnerable and then still not likable, but then not like weak, but then, you know, so many layers of capturing that, of a girl on the cusp of womanhood who has to be so strong and fierce, but then can still be a child and still be vulnerable and have weak moments, but still be incredibly strong. Like, when she stands up, like, goes in on Blake, like, you're a snake. I see you for who you are. Keep it pushing. It ain't coming over here. But then still to be devastated, like, how could you let me walk into that? But it's like, she's such a well-balanced character. And it just was perfection.
I mean, she was ready to be in her soft girl era with him. Like, when he said, let me think for you. No, you can't think for me. Okay. Right. I read all the series, but the Sunflower series, but I was like, damn, I see what Sweet is talking about. Why does that sound real appealing right now? I was like, listen, one of my favorite things from Saving Sunflower from Dominic was when he was like, when she said, I can't remember her name, the auntie was like, she don't even like you, she hates you. And he was like, you hate me? What could she say? Acting by herself. That was funny. She'll be right here, and then she'll be over here, and then when I literally just feel like I have to. And then when oh my gosh, and when Josiah be calling her stink, everything about it is just perfect. Like, we are such fans of yours. Like, and meeting you in person, your light is so real. It is so real. And the husbands being together at the bookstore.
That was the cutest thing. That was so cute.
I really wish I could have caught it on camera.
Right there. I love that.
Do you have any words for someone who is thinking about taking that leap to writing, or who has started writing and is still feeling like kind of overwhelmed by the whole process? Do you have any advice you can give them?
Yes. One thing I always tell people, like, I'm sorry, y'all. She was over here crying, and I was like, okay, so now you have to sit up here. Like a kid. The one thing I always tell people,
but do you see how like cute? Yes, but we see you.
Like, please, let me talk. So I always tell people, you know, like, it's overwhelming whenever you think about writing a whole book. So I always tell people, you do a little at a time. Like, writing really is a marathon. Like, it's not a sprint at all. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand, because they see, you know, people who will like churn out a book a month, but it's because they put in like that, like it takes a lot of extra effort to do that.
Mhm.
People who are writing like thousands of words a day, and they may do that like full time. So, you know, of course they can calculate like that schedule to do that, but you can't compare yourself to that. So you have to take everything like a chunk at a time, whether that's writing a paragraph a day or one scene a day. However
Mhm.
you want to spin it, you just have to make sure you're not looking at the big picture every single day, thinking like,
Right.
damn, I want to write this book, or, you know, or in my case, I need to complete this book. But then I'm thinking, okay, do a little bit of time. And then before you know, when you look up, you'll have a story. So
Mhm.
it's a mind thing. That's all. It's all in your
Mhm.
head.
I think that makes sense.
Yes. Ooh, this story.
Mhm.
Child, let me tell you.
Mhm. Mhm.
I also really like the nasty stuff you did in that filthy bathroom.
Baby.
That was a perfect tease before the main show.
Listen.
There was just so many gems and moments that just transcends time. Like I understand and I see this being a year's worth project.
Mhm.
I understand people talking about it a year, 3 years, 100 years later, because that's how
Mhm.
epic it is. Like when you're in the moment, even like me being done with my chapters, fighting not to read more, crying like I can't believe
Girl.
AW coming in my bed like a lot of his shoulders. You're not even going to ask him what's going on. You just gonna talk to him like that. All the layers, like it was so powerful.
Girl, Brandy. Take your high yellow ass on. Ew.
I forgot all about Brandy. I forgot about her.
Girl, yes. Ew, Brandy. The fact that she was like, fat, don't forget my drink. I was like,
Brandy thought she had it. She thought she had it in the bag.
She really did.
she did.
She really
Oh my
did.
gosh, that
She was
little part
definitely delusional.
when she talked to him, like, why are you using fat? I was like, oh, this bitch crazy. Like,
Yeah.
she don't
We
need
was like, all right. But I'll say you gotta be nice to all of them, but she don't get it. I'm gonna have to be mean real quick.
she was a fucking fool. I was like, Brandy, what are you talking about?
That is not where I thought she was gonna take that whole scene. I was like, oh dang it, you be knowing them girls. What?
Oh man, I feel like in her delusional mind, like that's what she really she was like,
Mhm.
he is using this poor girl. Like, how could you? Like,
Her nice nasty. Oh, bitch, please
yes.
leave. Please leave.
There was a lot of nice nasty going on. The ancestors will have their reckoning. The story was just, it was perfect. Like truly breaking you down to build you up. Like you broke me down, you broke the characters down, but we were built better than ever and stronger. And like the TVR has been rearranged disrespectfully. You know, it was all the little pieces that made such a perfect story. It was all the characters that made such a perfect story. Like I can't imagine one person not being there. Like every little bit was needed. Even at the freaking, what was it, the Splash Town?
Splash Town.
Even at Splash Town, like all those boys being boys. And
Yeah.
how Ace had to let it be known who she belonged to, so y'all keep your hands to yourselves moving forward. Because there is a hierarchy, okay? There's levels to this. And
but even Laquan being like,
I ain't touched her.
You wouldn't have said it if he was here. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
It was everything that just made for an epic story. I can't imagine taking anything away. Like, there's times when I read something, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's dragging on. And I was holding my breath for each page. Like, it was so good.
I even really like
you right,
Thank
friend.
you.
You right.
Thank you.
The small part of him being like, don't even tell Marcus. I already handled it. Let's not trouble him with something that's already been handled. Like, even just down to that. Like, when I say man, he was a man. Okay? Like, for real. Ugh. The way he talked to
and
the
even
doctor.
that talk, like him and Fat had on the way after, like when he went to get her from Splash Town, and like they're headed to the car, and Brandy's in the car, and that talk that him and Fat had, that was one of my favorite scenes to write.
Yes.
That,
You give her a rundown.
You gotta get your little lady together. We about to get her out of our car, but you gotta
yeah.
Like, and it's the little lady that's the wild card because you actually care about her feelings. Like, it was
Yes.
my nigga brought it for me. I was like, yes, it was everything.
Message us talking about some Target must have.
It was everything. Like, the whole story was a joy. And that's so crazy because there was such heavy aspects to the story, but it was a joy. Like, I cried, I laughed, I put out a hit with the ancestors. You know, it was everything.
Girl, when he finally beat what's his name? Bradley?
Bryson?
No. The
Blake Harvey.
When he beat Blake, I hated him. And I really enjoyed how you made it so realistic to the industry and what happens in the world, and how we immediately see one thing on Twitter and now it's it. Like, it's that. Like, I love how you really showed that's just the mindset. Excuse me. And Chelsea. Chelsea. Why was Marcus sleeping with that little girl? Why you doing that?
That was a surprise. When I was like, wait, no, I heard that wrong. Jacoby, you know, 30 seconds back.
Nikki kept saying, she was like, I don't know why Chelsea's so delusional. Marcus do not want her. And I just was like, I know, it's crazy, right? So when I had got home,
she loves to know something.
She had called me and she was like, so Marcus has another gal. I just
even that later, like, you just expect to fall back into what you know. And there's always the trope of the best friend having a crush on your brother, older brother, and things. So to get that twist, it was so perfectly unexpected because the back and forth really felt like she was delusional.
And she was like, I thought I knew that voice.
Oh my goodness. Everything.
You were so bomb with that.
Everything was so next level.
Even when one of my favorite parts is
Planet Ace.
Listen, when
the Twitter back and forth.
Listen, I love when Ace told Marcus, she ain't even finna let you trip on me like that. When he was like crossing him over and he was like, baby girl is what I call her. She ain't even finna let you do that. And then when it came back, I was like, that was like, don't you dare him.
Oh my goodness.
Him and everything. You just such a great story.
You are a phenomenal storyteller. Like, but before you go, can we please talk about AW just a little bit? Because I feel like he was one of the more complex characters.
Yes.
What were your thoughts? Obviously, we've talked about how everyone's like, I understand him, I hate him, What was your thoughts when it came to AW?
Honestly, I felt the same way that everybody else feels. Like, even writing him, like, I'm on the fence about that man. Like, I don't know if I like him or I hate him. So it's like this weird, I don't know. And a lot of his character was modeled after Deion Sanders. So I took like elements from him and like other big sports figures, but a lot of it came from like Deion Sanders and my feelings around like strong male characters like that. Like I'm like I like you and I like what you do, but then I'm like some stuff you do I don't like. So it's just like let me roll this into one character. But even after writing him, I still don't know how I feel about AW. But I understand his struggle. But that's just a social worker in me. Like I always see the point of view, like everybody's point of view. Like even
Social
if
worker makes
people,
sense.
yeah, like
It
even when
checks
people
out.
bring stuff, yeah, when people bring stuff to me in real life, like I see the like every, I see it from every angle, like the story. And so that's how it is with like characters too. Like with him, he's grieving his wife. He just lost the love of his life. Like he's been in powerful positions. He has like the weight of the world on his shoulders. He's responsible for all these Black boys. He's taking on this role and he's having to make something out of nothing while also still being a parent to his son, and that relationship is strained. So it's like, how would he act and respond and with all of this going on? And then of course, you know, Ace's problem, and then having a son with that problem, and you know he has that problem.
And not knowing how to help.
I kind of feel like that we always, it's easy to say one thing or the other thing, right? But when you've had a buffer your whole life and now that it's gone, you don't know how to act. You don't know how to be. Like he didn't know. Like and now he's grown. How to parent him. But I think that sometimes we forget that Ace is who he is as far as on the court because of AW. Yes, he was spending a lot of time with other children, but every Saturday he set up them chairs, and his son has had to do that even at this age. So he made time for him, but in a different way.
Yeah.
I kind of always felt like, but I think that AW had the perfect mother for his child. Like he did the right thing when he was crossing him up and, you know, stole her. He did the right thing to get her because she was the perfect mother for a child like Ace. When she told him like, calm down and let's get our thoughts together. So when we talk to him, we're not mad. We're coming to him. I was just like, oh my gosh, I love that. Like to truly have somebody in your corner.
And I think you showed that transition well and how they were struggling with it. And how there was still so much resentment and anger that went unresolved and only escalated more, losing Angie. And like not knowing how to speak to his son and only talking to his son. Like without that person to be like, change your tone. So it was chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Thank you. She definitely did more of the like emotional parenting and lifting. Like AW was not the parents that was there for like emotional support or anything like that. He was just there kind of like physically, but emotionally he wasn't there. And that was Angie's role.
Yeah, and you did such a great job just showing the weight both of those children carried and how it matured them in a different way than everyone else.
Marcus's weight, seeing how Marcus handled it. I felt like you were so realistic. Not every time when a parent gets sick, how many times have we read a story where every child rallies around them and they all take turns going to the therapy and this is like that doesn't happen all the time. So I really thought that was amazing.
Honestly, in real life, I feel like that's like a rare occurrence where everybody kind of like knows their role and plays it. I feel like most of the time in real life, whenever you have somebody that's sick, there's like this push and pull, this tug of war, this discord amongst like the nuclear family and even the extended family too, because you have all of these people who kind of want to like, you have the person who wants to be in control. You have the person who can't handle it. They're not strong. So they don't want to come around. So they've checked out and they're dealing with it in their own way. And then you have, you know, the people who who will lend a hand, but they're not there every day. So I try to make it as realistic as possible.
You did that, especially the finding your person who you can be strong for and weak with. Like, the essentialness of finding your person,
like being able to be in that soft girl era. Like I loved just the conversations of him being like, we about to be eating spam, baby, because you sitting here spending all this money. Like,
Yeah.
but wanting her to spend all his money. Like, everything about
It was perfect.
just
And then him feeling
magical.
comfortable enough to cry. Like, just all the layers was just
this story, y'all.
It's epic.
Epic. If you have not read it, you have to. This story, listen, I love it.
It's a game changer.
It is. I can't ask for anything else. If I ask you for anything else, I'm being greedy. You already gave me an audio. Like, I can't ask for anything else.
Well, like, I'm greedy, and you gave her the audio, so I'll just ask for a book too.
You see how she is? You see how she is? Like, she's too much. She's literally too much.
I get it from my sister.
I'm glad you get to see her for who she really is. Okay?
Y'all are silly. I love y'all.
We love you too. You were such a pleasure and such a joy. Thank you so much for spending so much time with us and answering our questions.
Sarita just yep.
Thank y'all for having me. Y'all did amazing. The questions were amazing. Thank y'all.
Thank you. We was trying not to fangirl too much.
Listen, girl, I brought my fan just in case I fell out.
My God.
We thank you
so much. When you do the next one or a new something, we will definitely be asking you for something to come back. Matter of fact, we probably gonna ask you to come back anyway because Nikki's finally about to really get on the train, and then we can actually really communicate with you about everything so that she doesn't have to look stupid when I'm talking about my mans.
Yeah, you need to read Rae. You need to read 30. That's my ultimate favorite. Like, you have to read 30.
Our friendship.
If you don't read nothing else,
you need to read. Oh,
we have a group chat, and it was just a random Monday, Wednesday. I don't know. It was just a random day, and it was like, "Excuse me, Sarita, I'm sorry, but correction, Dre is not yours. He is mine. I will hear nothing of it." And then she just dips out of the sun. I'm like,
out of nowhere, and I'm thinking about Dre. Who would you? No. We love him some Sarita, okay? We were literally going back and forth.
And I'm just like,
he was
I own every one of these books, and near one of y'all names show up.
Girl, listen, she literally was like, Sarita, I see why you said your man's been in jail this whole time.
Yes, that's why she's single.
That's why I'm single. He's been in jail the whole time. There ain't no way. What I'm supposed to do? I just can't be out here.
I can't wait to get to that one because he's tearing apart friendships that were really instilled within us.
Well, I just don't let him tear up sisterships. Stay the fuck where you at over there. Don't let him tear up families. Because that, yeah.
Oh, man. Yes, Dre is like, he's
top tier.
Yeah. Top tier.
Absolutely.
All right, before you go, one last question. Who's your favorite character?
Who's my favorite character? In Effie? Oh my God, this is so hard. Ugh. I don't know. Okay, I'll say Fat. Fat is definitely my favorite. And I'm just biased. I just feel like she represents like just Black girlhood, like trying to become a woman. Like, I feel like we all could take a part of Fat and like see ourselves in that part of her.
Yeah.
That's why she's my favorite.
Nikki used to steal too.
She just told all your business.
Okay, listen. That's really messed up. Okay? Was a child and not old enough to know better.
But I heard you.
Wow. I forgot I used to do that. So that's like, I was so young that I don't remember it. People have to tell me, "Oh yeah, you used to be a thief." Like, it wasn't something I was old enough to know better.
So you were just running rampant, just stealing
Yes,
stuff from most
and
people to
apparently
say.
really good at it.
Homegirl would steal like a lot of stuff. So that's why I thought, how dare you call fat out for a problem? You
That is hilarious. Oh
make
my
that
god.
like our aunts, our older aunts would be like, girl, Nikki, did you take anything when you leave?
You gotta shake her down.
Yes. Honest Abe now. Like she won't do anything. Like she won't even take a pen. If she leaves out of the store with a pen, she runs back to give it back to him. But I'm like, oh girl, that's because you must have really thought and saw your future as in prison. So
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna be fighting every day. I ain't got time for that.
So she was a thief. So I see you saw yourself with that.
I really forgot about that. That's crazy.
Oh man.
Yes. And you had the audacity to bring up that problem.
I was tickled. I thought it was so funny how
I know. From one thief to another, bitch, it was funny.
you are so ugly.
Oh my god.
Thank you so much.
We truly appreciate
We so
you.
enjoyed you. Oh my gosh. Thank you for taking
Thank
time.
you
with us.
guys. I appreciate y'all for this. Thank you so much.
We probably gonna be harassing you again soon, you know.
Yes, because how you disrespectfully came for my TBR. I don't want to be like, wow, so you're tearing apart sisters too?
She ain't. Okay, well, she ain't.
Okay, well.
I'm telling you right now, baby girl, you got a lot of other men to choose from. That's the past. You don't even want to.
And she was like, oh, I'm all about Dominic. He's my favorite. I'm all about Josiah. He's my favorite. Every new book, she was like, oh,
Girl, Andre, all day. Dre, all day, all day. Like, I don't know how the heck it wasn't trying to get conjugal visits. I would have been putting money on his books. I would have been doing anything to see my man. Okay, I understood how she put his name on the forehead. I get it. What, girl? You'll think about it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Thank you again.
I don't know where you dug to find him. Listen, there ain't no damn way. Ain't no damn way.
I still don't know to this day. I just know that top tier.
Girl. Yeah. He looks down on a lot of motherfuckers, okay? He is there looking down, okay? I don't know how you just got out of prison looking down on a lot of niggas, but that's what he's doing.
But he did. So FYI, Nikki, you got another one who started from the bottom. He broke too.
How we here? All right.
How you broke? Yeah, you need to stop that. Claiming and loving on a man who only has $75. Living with their mama or their auntie, like, you gotta stop this. It has to stop.
Damn.
Because now I gotta go to the internet and be like, that's my man, and I'm gonna stick beside him, you know? It needs to stop.
And you know she got a good job.
Buying him sneakers and drawers because he just got out of jail. He don't got his drawers. You know? You can use my car.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, my cheeks hurt.
When I Dre would have me Ubering while he uses my car. Okay?
Not Ubering. No, stand up. No.
Listen, baby.
Oh
right,
my god.
It's him for me.
That definitely sounds more your speed.
Oh,
That level, yes. Well, thank
man.
you again.
Thank you
And I'm
so
glad
much.
that my man got money. To see that some people can have money in your universe. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
that Ace is the example. He got money. He the only one.
And that's what's crazy.
Oh,
my
man.
God. In a world full of billionaires.
Oh man.
He sleeps on the couch.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Oh Lord, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. We so enjoyed you. We hope that you have a great night.
Thank you, y'all too. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
You guys, wasn't that fabulous? She is so darn cute and sweet. Did you enjoy everything? Can you believe she did Ashley as a thief?
Yes.
Like a Tom
I
I
did.
didn't even remember.
That's a you problem, baby, because I remember. That's because I'm your oldest sister.
Oh my gosh.
We hope that you guys really enjoyed it. We hope that you guys go and get it. This book is amazing, you guys. Amazing. At the beginning, it is at the end of it all. It is narrated by Jacoby DM and Wesley Siobhan, and they played no games. They were the perfect voices for these characters. Let us know if you're going to read it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, ring a ding ding. Until next time, bye guys. Bye.